Hey friends, welcome back to A Beautifully Wrecked Life. My name is Cassandra, and today I am so excited to be bringing you our kindergarten curriculum for the 22-23 school year. Now, as many of you know, we are Charlotte Mason homeschoolers, which means we do believe in giving our kiddos this first 6 years as just a quiet growing time. And we're not pushing academics on them. We're not having them sit down for formal lessons. We're not requiring narration or including them in exams unless they want to, which my son sometimes does. We are instead playing with the alphabet. We are learning some numbers in a very informal, casual way, but that does set a stage and a foundation for the academics that we will begin next year. So I want to share with you what we have planned for our kindergarten year, and I do hope that it falls in line with how Charlotte Mason intended those first 6 years to look, just that we will still be moving toward formal lessons. We're going to be really working on habit training, really working on letter recognition and letter sounds and that solid math foundation that we want our kiddos to have, but we're not going to be requiring this rigorous academic schedule. We're not going to be requiring them to learn 100 sight words, nothing like that. It's going to look very different than a lot of kindergarten curriculums that you might see out there. So the first thing I want to talk about is the formidable list of attainments for a child of 6. And I will drop the link below so you can see that list in print. But that's going to guide a lot of our afternoon occupations, a lot of our nature time with my middle son, my 5-year-old. He's going on 6 in a few months. So I really want to focus on making sure that he is able to attain those items on the list, that he knows his birds, that he can identify bird songs, that he can recite some poetry, that he has some songs in a foreign language and things like that. It's a very gentle, very beautiful way to introduce a child to formal lessons, to get him prepared for formal lessons without, like I said before, that rigorous sit down, seat work kind of academic instruction. All right, so let's jump into the actual curriculum that we're going to be using. And the first thing I want to talk about is reading. So many of you know I absolutely love All About Reading. We're huge fans of that curriculum in our house. We had done a more formal, a little more rigorous preschool curriculum with my oldest because I didn't yet know about Charlotte Mason. I wasn't familiar with those quiet growing years and kind of how to approach those. So we did a more rigorous preschool, and then when we went into kindergarten, we used this pre-reading program just for the first half of the year as review. And because while my son knew his letter, he could identify letters and knew letter sounds, there are other skills in the pre-reading program that I really wanted to make sure we were hitting on. So there's a lot of being able to separate words, being able to blend words, rhyming, all of those kinds of skills that kids really need to know prior to learning to read. So I love that this gives a very gentle introduction to reading, but it's also very thorough in the skills, the language exploration that the kids get to learn. So we'll be using pre-reading, and I'm very excited. So I have the teacher's manual, and then it also comes with a book of letters. So we already have the teacher's manual. I just ordered a new book of letters for my second son. And in this, there are some coloring activities and some craft things that they get to do for each letter. I know some kids don't love doing that kind of thing, but my kids eat it up. So this is definitely worth it for us to purchase. And then the curriculum also comes with a couple of readers. And so there are some poems and just some fun stories that we get to read with each letter as we go along through the program. And then my son is very excited about getting to use the Ziggy puppet this year. So he watched his older brother get to meet Ziggy and play with Ziggy in school. And though he's come in and given Ziggy hugs and Ziggy's given him little kisses, he hasn't had the opportunity to have Ziggy be a part of his lessons. And so he's really excited about this. So again, not every kid loves puppets and not every kid is really going to enjoy this, but my kids love this part of the pre-reading curriculum. And in fact, my oldest son asked when he got into level 1, could we still have Ziggy come and be a part of our reading lessons? So Ziggy is definitely worth it as well. I really, it's fun for me. It's definitely fun for the kids, and we really love that. And then with our All About Reading pre-reading program, I also have a Delectable Education's pre-reading lessons handout that they sell on their website. And this is really great as a teacher help because it gives an idea of what lessons should look like, pre-reading lessons should look like in a Charlotte Mason education, how we're not sitting down and learning sight words, how we're not sitting down and working on decoding long strings of words, but we're really giving kids a gentle introduction to the alphabet using hands-on objects and items that you can grab around the house. And so I love this because it gives kind of a lesson format, and I think these two are going to go together very well because they're really hitting on the same skills. And so we'll use the All About Reading as kind of our base, and then the activity suggestions in here will kind of supplement onto that. So he's going to get a very thorough introduction to the alphabet and the letter sounds, and I'm very excited about how that's going to set him up for reading success later. All right, let's talk about math. I have really struggled with this decision because math, if you've seen my previous video about the Charlotte Mason Elementary Arithmetic series, I talk a little bit about our math journey and how math has really been a struggle for us and a frustration for me a lot of the times. So this year, as I was kind of thinking through what I wanted math to look like for my middle son, knowing that we weren't going to begin formal lessons yet, but also wanting to make sure that we're not just keeping him suspended, he's ready and he seems to be very math oriented. His mind really seems to grasp math concepts pretty easily. So I don't want to just sit here and do nothing with him, but I also don't want to jump in and require these formal lessons in math. So what I have decided is to go ahead and start book 1 of the Charlotte Mason Elementary Arithmetic series with him. But instead of thinking, we're going to get through this entire book this year, we are not. I really want to go very slowly. I want it to be a lot of play, a lot of hands-on practice, really just building those skills so that as he goes into first grade or Form 1B, we'll just continue on with the book. We'll go deeper. We'll get into the higher numbers and the mental math and all of that. But I really feel like if we're going to do Charlotte Mason, there is no sense in choosing some other curriculum that is not Charlotte Mason curriculum and then having to switch later and then being concerned that he's already gotten used to it one way and now we're introducing a different way. So we're just going to start with Charlotte Mason approach to math from the beginning, and I'm really excited. I will say I had one hesitation with this, and that was the fact that my son going into 3rd grade is only going to be on book 2. And then now my son starting kindergarten is going to be on book 1. And so instead of having that 2-year gap between them, they're going to be back to back with their skills in math. And I didn't want my older son to feel like he was somehow being held back or, I didn't want that feeling. But as I've kind of shared with them what we're going to be doing this year, I really underestimate how little they care about who's doing what in school. So this is not a problem, and I am excited to do this with my middle son because honestly, we did it last year with my oldest son, and I loved it. It was such a great math year for us, and so I'm excited to go through it again. So that's math for us. All right, and then for literature this year, I'm very excited because honestly, we just want to read beautiful, classic living books together. I want us snuggled up on the couch. We love morning time because we do love to just gather up on the couch together and read these good books. My 2 younger kids have been following along as I read to my oldest son. I throw in picture books that I love, like Blueberries for Sal and things like that for everybody. But this year, I'm really, really thrilled to be reading through some classics with my middle son just for him. Obviously, we will all gather around, but it'll just be targeted to him, and I think he's really going to enjoy that sort of focused one-on-one time. So we're going to begin with Winnie the Pooh. So we have Winnie the Pooh and the House at Pooh Corner for term 1. So we're going to read through these just slowly, gently, a leisurely journey with Winnie the Pooh. For our second term, we're going to be reading through a Beatrix Potter Treasury. We love these stories. I read them with my oldest, and my youngest tagged along for a lot of them, and we just delight in the Peter Rabbit stories. And so really excited to dig into this one together. And then The Complete Brambly Hedge. We also really enjoy these stories. We like a lot of stories with animals as the characters. So we'll enjoy this one as well. And then if we finish early, we also have Frog and Toad. I have the storybook treasury, and Frog and Toad are some of our very favorite characters in our house. So even if this is just, free read time, this will definitely be included and reread again in our house this year. And then finally, for another curriculum that we will be implementing, we're going to be using a year of playing skillfully. So again, this is not a Charlotte Mason specific curriculum, but we have used it for the last several years since my oldest was 4 years old, and he is going to be turning 8 this month. So it is just a beautiful play-based, wonder-filled curriculum that we absolutely love. I will drop a link below to a blog post where I review this curriculum and talk about why we love it so much. It enables us to do so many fun things together. They're learning all the time while they're playing, and we create so many beautiful memories as a family as we go through this. So I'm really excited to do this. Again, this is one of those things that I did with my oldest, and then we sort of touched on it a little bit last year, but this year we're going to do the full curriculum with my upcoming kindergartner, and I think it's going to be an absolute blast. All right, and that is it for the formal curriculum choices that we're going to be using this year. We really just want kindergarten to be fun. We want it to be an enjoyable, relaxing introduction to school. We want it to pave the way for smooth lessons, and we really want to set a solid foundation for those academics and for the broad feast next year. But we also want kindergarten just to be a time where we spend a lot of it as a family and we're doing things together as a family. And so I'm hopeful that this is going to be a memorable year. I'm really excited because with my oldest, we did kindergarten, but I was feeling so much pressure. Having come out of the public school system into homeschooling, I was just feeling like we have to do all the things. We have to check all the boxes. We have to make sure that we're hitting all of the standards. Before I really, got into the Charlotte Mason education and realized that amount of pressure it's not healthy, it's not good, it's not okay. And so getting to step back this time and do kindergarten with a completely different approach is so exciting to me. The other thing is, while this is kind of our curriculum that we'll be using, my middle son he's part of our morning basket time. So he's hearing history, he's hearing geography, he's hearing my older son's literature, he's getting to be a part of Spanish. So he's doing solfa and drill and brush drawing and so many lessons with my older son without it being formal. If he wants to do some brush drawing and then he decides a few minutes in that he's done, that's fine. But he's getting a taste of the feast already, and that's very exciting. So while these are our curriculum choices, he's obviously going to be learning so much more just by the way, just as he's going and as he's being exposed to these ideas with my older son. I hope that this was enjoyable for you. If you are getting ready to start a kindergarten year with any of your kiddos, I would love to hear about the curriculum that you're using. And of course, if you have any questions about any of these choices that I've shown you, please don't hesitate to ask below. I would love to hear from you in the comments section. I would also really appreciate it if you would like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel and come along for our journey. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I will see you next time.